Good evening once again, fellow cosplayers. We're up to episode 9 in the Nordic carved armor series and still working away on the helmet. When we last left the videos, I had put all the battle damage on and hit the whole helmet with the heat gun sealing the pores. Tonight I am busy filling in the splits between the seams where the pieces of pepper cura have gone together. So without further ado, I'll show you what I've been doing. So there's the helmet, and you can see some gunk all over in the top of it. This is Selly's No More Gaps, which according to the tube, there we go. So if you're shopping here in Australia, pop down to Bunnings or Masters or yon local hardware store and grab that stuff. That's what I'm using. It is advanced acrylic sealant, interior, exterior, easy color matching, low shrinkage, and superior adhesion. What I like about it is that until it cures, it's water-based, and that's really bright, isn't it? Let's see what happens when we turn that off, if that makes a difference. That's a little more acceptable. We should do that. Okay. Basically, what I'm doing is going over all the splits in the foam. So there's an example there, for instance. I squeeze out some of the sealant, as I've done here on the top and around the eyes. And I use these crafting tools. I think they might actually be clay tools. There's a whole set of them. I've got a tub with some water in it. Keep the tips moist. And basically just spatula this stuff out. Now remembering of course that the finish on this helmet is a rough cast iron finish. These do not need to be perfectly smooth, but the smoother they are, the better I'm going to like it without going glassy smooth, because that's obviously not the result I want. Now I may have left this on a little too long while I was setting up the camera, thinking, oh heck, I should film a bit of this. So some of this has already cured and formed a bit of a skin. I have worked across the front of the forehead already, and by using the spatula I get a smoother finish, and I can also push it into the gaps left by joining the pieces. I also find that the low angle light from the monitor is really handy to see where the rise and falls are. I tend to look where I've joined two pieces together, if there's a high piece and a low piece, which there shouldn't be dominantly because of the technique I use gluing them together. But if there is, then I always wipe this stuff from the low piece to the high piece so it banks up against the edge of the high piece and forms a smoother transition. So that's the process basically. There goes some rain starting again, so you'll probably hear that through in the camera while we're filming. Now obviously I'm not going to film the entire process of me going over this entire helmet, filling in gaps and stuff, but I don't want to get it in where the damage is. So for instance down the front of the helmet here, it should be shot. No, it's not. Let's pull it back a bit. Wait for the camera to catch up. There we go. Where I've got this crease down here, where I put the filler in on either side, I then have purposely made sure that I've cleaned out the trench that I cut earlier. So there you have it. That's the process that I'm using now to put battle damage across the helmet and fill in the seams basically, and this can be used to add more effect to the existing battle damage. I'll go through the process and pop back onto the video when I've done a fair bit more and show you some of that. If I come across anything that's a particularly interesting piece that I need to show you, I'll do that. The ridge on the eye is a bit of that where the 2mm foam, you can see this lip here, is a very definite lip. Camera angle. There we go. So that lip there is a very definite lip, whereas this edge around the top is not quite so dominant because I've filled in with the sealant and then smoothed it back against it. So there we go. That edge there will be something that I'll probably show you a little more detail on while I'm doing it, because I want to keep a square edge, but there are big gaps in here and in here where the foam is separated under the heat gun. Okay, I'll pop this on pause and do a fair bit more of this. Well, there we are. I've done a fair bit of the seam sealing on the helmet so far. Still wet in places, so it's got a real high gloss shine to it when it doesn't need to, and it's very, very rough. You can see stripes in it, but the main purpose is to fill in the seams, round off the edges of the ears where things are not quite sitting right, where I've got too sharp of an edge. Basically, it's kind of a putty. You can see along the top one of these 3 foam pieces. Let me turn that so you can see. There we go. You can see how I've got a very sharp edge still on the second and third one, but this top one I've run a bit of a bead in on a fair bit of it to make it look like it's one piece that it's moulded. Whereas, there we go, let's turn that way. Where you can still see on these two that it's definitely glued to it, hopefully by putting in a strip of sealant and running my finger around it. That's going to look a lot better once I've sprayed my surface spray on there. So that's all I've got time for this evening, so it's a rather short video compared to some of the others. I've made a point of going over the battle damage and cleaning the sealant out of the battle damage because I still want the battle damage to be quite dominant. So a few bits and pieces to be tidied up, and the good thing about the sealer that I've used for these seams is that it's a rubber-based sealant, so when it dries I'll be able to cut in any other details that I want to do. So there we have it. That's all I've done for the moment, the sealing of the seams. I'll get the rest of that finished off camera and won't add it into the video because it's much of a muchness of what I've done to date. And the next video, episode 10, will quite possibly be the spray painting of the undercoats, the rubber sealant that goes over the whole lot. The Rust-Oleum leak seal is what I'm using. Until then, keep yourself safe, and remember, it's called Cosplay because it is meant to be fun.